Well, as I noted with Minister Miller, the calls for an election and the departure of Justin Trudeau continues to grow. Take a listen to what we heard today from the opposition leaders.
Yesterday, we were reminded that if you hire clowns, you get a circus. But no one should be laughing.
If he wants to stay where he is now, he needs a mandate. And he does not have one as we speak. The only way for him to get that is to call for an election as soon as possible.
So will the Prime Minister acknowledge he has failed? He has to quit.
Well, to talk about this, we're now joined by Robert Fife, Ottawa Bureau Chief for the Globe and Mail, Tonda MacCharles, Ottawa Bureau Chief for the Toronto Star, and Joël-Denis Bellavance, Ottawa Bureau Chief for La Presse. Hello to the three of you.
Hey there. Michael. Thanks for having us.
So, as you know, we noted, the chorus of calls for the Prime Minister to step aside continues to grow, although from Justin Trudeau, the signal that he's going to stay and reflect. But does that mean anything? Like, I mean, that's exactly what we heard in October when there was the caucus revolt. He would consider what the word shared, and he maybe considered it for 12 hours before he moved on. Does his word carry any weight this time around, Bob?
Well, look, I think the fact that he named his best friend as the finance minister is a pretty strong signal that he's going to try to hang on to power. But I do think that the opposition parties' leaders have a very strong point to be made, is that this government is off the rails. It's in deep trouble. You've lost a finance minister. You've got 8 ministers that are not 8 cabinet positions that have to be filled. And we have an incoming Trump administration with the threat of 25% tariffs and a real serious threat at the border. I think they make a good point that the government will need a mandate from the people to deal with Donald Trump. And he either should resign or call an election. But if we look at the way this guy operates, I assume he's going to try to hang in until the bitter end.
Tonda?
So is the question, is he going to stay on?
No, I think the question is whether or not, there's any weight to him saying he's going to consider, or is this just barrage that he will at the end of the day?
I think there is a difference. I think there's a huge difference between now and the calls we heard after the Toronto St. Paul's by-election loss and after September when there was another by-election loss, and the rumors that he was courting Carney again ended up in a job for Carney advising the party. The departure of Freeland and the way she left is a huge galvanizer of more people within caucus piling on, and the pressure is much different on him. I think it's immense. It was not lost on anybody, the significance of what she did yesterday, throwing the mini budget, the fiscal economic statement into utter disarray, and challenging the Prime Minister's, not just his leadership, but his stewardship of the economy, his ability to confront the Trump administration, and playing political games, she called using costly gimmicks, with the nation's finances for political purposes. So that's a whole other level of pressure on the Prime Minister. Can he withstand it? I'm not sure he can. What has to happen to change his sort of previous claim he was staying on? Perhaps if there are more vocal cabinet ministers now that would speak up, but I'm not hearing or seeing that happen yet. Sure, there have been more MPs that have come out publicly, but I think, we're told he's reflecting and that there may not be a decision before Christmas, but no, I think that this is a whole other kettle of fish.
Okay, what do you think, JD? Because, again, in October, in the caucus revolt, he said he'd reflect back then, and he didn't reflect for very long. Is this different?
Yeah.
24 hours.
Even not so much, right?
No,
in the meeting,
he
had said
it wasn't
he was
that long.
staying.
I think I agree with Tonda. This is a different game because he lost a key minister in his cabinet in a very violent fashion, if I may say, politically speaking. And I think, as Bob mentioned, I think the opposition parties have a good argument that will resonate with Canadians, that this government is too weak to confront the incoming Trump administration, that Canadians should go to the polls and decide who should be leading those negotiations. And I think if Mr. Trudeau puts the national interest ahead of his own partisan personal interests, that's the logical thing that he will do. At least that's what Liberal MPs are urging him to do, to put the interest of Canada before his own interest. You know, in every government, there is such a time as an end date to a mandate. And we've reached that point, Mr. Trudeau. The writing is on the wall, and I think everybody's telling him, but he still is the one who's going to make the final decision, because there's no way within the Liberal Party or the Liberal caucus to push him out. It's going to be his decision and his decision alone.
Okay, you say MPs are telling him that, but Todd, I'll pick up on a point that you're making, that they're more now calling for him to step down, although the ones that are still talking are the same group that was talking back in October, right?
It's a bit expanded in terms of we've got 10 MPs who are publicly calling on him now to resign. And that letter, which we were told back in the fall of 24 people who wanted to sign, that I was told back then it was an evergreen document, and since then we've been told that up to 45 more are either have or are going to sign. We had been told that they were prepared to join that call. So it's not a majority, but it's a critical mass. And look, I don't underestimate his challenge in trying to defy the odds right now. I think Mr. Trudeau is, he says he's reflecting, but it must be a very difficult decision, because he has been resolute up until Friday. I was told he is staying on. Today is the first day I've been told. Can't answer that for sure.
Yeah. Bob, what do you think of the critical mass that's building here? Has it grown substantially? Because I am trying to figure out in my mind just how much damage did Chrystia Freeland do, because the reports are that she received a standing ovation when the caucus met yesterday evening.
Look, he's badly wounded, and whether he can recover from that wound is very difficult to say, because there are no real mechanisms to get rid of him. But there is no doubt that a big chunk of the Liberal caucus want him to go, and I think an even bigger proportion of the Liberal Party want him to go. All of us are working the phones, we're all getting the same message from Liberals that his time is up, that you've got to save the party. At one point, people were saying he's the best guy to go into the election campaign. He may win more seats than a new leader would. I think that's all changed now. But look, he's not sending the signal that he's going to go. Dominic LeBlanc is not qualified to be finance minister. He's a funny guy, he's a competent minister, but Francois Philippe Champagne would be, I think we all thought it would have been Mr. Champagne as the finance minister. He's done
or Jonathan Wilkinson. I think his name was floated too.
But certainly in terms of Champagne, because he's done an excellent job as an innovation minister, and he's got very high credentials on Bay Street. The business community really likes him because he's a blue Liberal. Mr. LeBlanc is an old-fashioned politician, pork barrel politics. That's what he does. And the fact that he would choose his best friend shows that he's still thinking he can fight this out. And whether he can, I don't know.
Or it shows that he needs a buffer of trust right now, because I don't think anyone can be under the illusion that those three jobs at this time, public safety, finance, and intergovernmental affairs, are three jobs that anyone can really juggle well in the coming months ahead. Maybe he's going for a buffer of a trust relationship to get him over this crisis. I just cannot see how that's sustainable.
Mr. Trudeau should also ask himself the question, how will history remember him? As the person who revived the Liberal Party, or the person who may destroy the Liberal Party by hanging on too long? And that's a critical question that people are asking, because at current status, the way it's going, some people, even the Liberals, are openly suggesting that the Bloc Québécois may become the official opposition because the Liberals will suffer a severe defeat. That should be food for thought for a lot of Liberals in the country.
Look what happened in the BC by-election. The Conservatives won by 66%. The Liberals had 16% of the vote. In the 2021 election, I think it was 39% for the Liberals who won the riding and 36% for the Conservatives. And this is something that you're going to see all across the board in this country. And I mean, Joël will speak better than I could about what is happening in Quebec, but it's clear that Liberals are in deep trouble even in Quebec.
Yeah, because the rise of the Conservative Party up to about 24-25% raises the possibility of three-year race, and that coming out the winner is the Bloc Québécois. It wins almost 3 out of 4 times. It's the Bloc Québécois who wins that riding.
I mean, there are many questions in front of Mr. Trudeau now, not least of which is, does he want the next election to be a referendum on him personally, or does he want it to be a choice made by Canadians about the future of the country? So that's a pretty stark choice. If he sticks around, it will be a referendum on him.
Yeah, well, it was interesting hearing Peter Fragiskatos not calling for the Prime Minister to step down, but essentially saying at some point you have to make a choice between yourself, the party, the country. So that is something that we'll be watching for in the weeks ahead. Although, before that, I can say happy holidays to the three of you.
Let's hope we're not working because he resigns on Christmas Day.
That would, it's his birthday. It's his birthday. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that his birthday.
Totally not.
But anyways, listen, thank you for 2024. What a heck of a fall. But Bob, Tonda, JD, we'll do it again in 2025. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year.
Thank you,
Happy New
Michael.
Year.
Thank you.